Hi, this is Stan Fitzgerald with Veterans for America First and our new media wing of the organization, the Vet Voice. I'm here with an old friend of mine, Dr. Dave Simone. He is also a political advisor and plays an important role in American politics. And we met back in February. We were invited by the president's staff to the big event in Mar-A-Lago where the president announced his new PAC. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Dave, where he's going to talk to you about the Constitution.
Oh my God. Thanks so much, Stan. Happy Sunday, everybody, and all those fellow patriots out there that actually want to read and understand the Constitution. And I'm not a scholar, I'm just a concerned citizen who has read it a few times. And just a quick little background, I'm Dr. Dave Simone. I've been doing a ton of volunteer work for this country. You can go on YouTube, just search Dr. Dave Simone, and I got a ton of videos from scientific mercury stuff where I worked at the UN on the Global Mercury Treaty, so your grandchildren and great-grandchildren won't be poisoned by mercury. And of course, some rally stuff and different interviews. So you can laugh, you can cry, you can get serious, whatever you want. But Stan, it was a complete pleasure meeting you when we were at Mar-A-Lago. I actually proudly walk around with my former proud fetus sign on my wide awake, but I also have my Mar-A-Lago tag from that day as well. And that's just, it's always kind of fun to do that. And of course, Alphabet did give me these 2 White House pins. General John Borling, the 4-star of the Air Force, took this from his jacket and gave it to me. And Ryan Zinke, that wonderful future congressman and former Secretary of the Interior and commander of Navy SEALs in CENTCOM, that's the Montana gift pin from Sam. Sir, thank you very much. And of course, just to be official, I am not a veteran. I have no military record that you'll find whatsoever. I did volunteer for Homeland Security in 2002 in February as the first class of dental volunteers as first responders. And then in 06 took my advanced, we'll just call it training, and government's had my phone since then. And so has President Trump. I think they watch everything I do. Mostly it's funny because you got to lighten it up for the veterans, right? They've been through hell. They signed a check for their life. They should be taken care of like royalty in this country. Not like Queen Elizabeth and King Charles. Isn't it a Cavalier Spaniel, a King Charles Cavalier Spaniel or something like that? So remember, we used to fight the king. The whole point of the Constitution. It's been 250 years of fighting this and keeping it going. And we've had a lot of nefarious forces working against us. So why do I have every soldier? Stan, how many oaths did you take when you were in the military?
Actually, I was in law enforcement and I took several. Retired police detective, not a veteran. Veterans for America First is veterans and first responders. So I am the chief political outreach advisor, whatever you want to call it. They've given me a few different titles. So I'm changing all the time, but we reach out to both veterans and first responders, and I am law enforcement.
Yeah, and it can be stressful. For example, I was supposed to be at the Highland Park Parade on July 4th, where the shooting was from that kid that, that's a case where if you're going to give someone a concealed carry and a FOID, maybe that case could have been reviewed a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But I was supposed to be right there in Highland Park where everybody was shot because I wouldn't go to my local town because I've got a lot of Democrats here who politically don't like the Trump guy around here. Okay. So, and by the way, I'm an independent who caucuses with President Trump, where our job is to drain the swamp. What did we find out? Yeah, we found out that the Bush family has controlled Washington, D.C. for a long time. The Clintons worked with the Bush. It's this whole thing. So I just want everybody to think of President Trump as someone who did follow the Constitution. Senator Cruz did sign the paperwork that was recorded according to the Constitution. I don't know how else to say this. Everybody who was in the building disrupted our processes that day, which were legal and constitutional. And why is discussing what's in the Constitution now considered bad? I mean, you can have a second constitutional Congress. We could reconvene. There's all kinds of options provided in the Constitution. These are just people that are discussing it. And you and I are more diplomatic in our terms because we've been trained and taken oaths, so we follow our oaths and so forth. And now, all of a sudden, because I've taken 5 oaths, I'm a bad person because I follow the Constitution. So that's, I think, the problem I have with everybody creating this false narrative of this a horrible person and he was in bed with Putin or whatever. And we found out the opposite was true. So if people don't want to, look at the facts, like for example, James Comey ran, in the government for a long time, but he did file a false FISA warrant, right? I mean, Stan, if you filed a false warrant and signed it and stuff, you'd be.
Oh, those same FBI agents would be breaking down my door at 5 a.m.
Yeah, and so I just wondered because I actually was fortunate enough to interview Valerie Plame and her husband Joe Brown back in the 2007 and 8 or so when I had my radio show, and she was outed by the vice president that is the chief of staff. I mean, they're not in jail. It's just okay. You can't do that to agents. Okay. Gotcha. Well, there's many ways that people make decisions. We call them emotional or logical and so forth. And there's a bunch of things competing for people's attention. And I guess the most important thing is do you care about the future and your grandchildren's future? And that's got to be the theme of every politician. I'm not a big fan of politicians because they sell your kid for their profit. So I guess what the thing is that moving forward, do you have people that will follow the Constitution properly? And I can kind of get a feel for each district. I've been traveled around the world. I have a feeling for every country and a lot of insights and holistic work and healthcare freedom. And I've spoken at quite a few functions and presented. Again, you can watch my videos on Mercury and work around the world on there, or even a little comedy about some VPFs or my interactions. But I love winning like anybody else. And I don't.
Dr. Dave, where can people reach you if they want to find you on social media?
Well, I'm really kind of a private person on social media. The best way to get me is you can just call me on my cell phone, which I'm willing to give out. And I assume that sometimes I'm going to have people call me because I usually just like to do texting one-on-one and communicate. And
Well, let me just change that to if you'd like to reach out to Dr. Dave, you could get to him through me on social media. This way I could screen people for you.
well, I
And
appreciate that, sir.
and I thank you for your time, my friend, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Oh, you betcha. I look forward to getting this red 257 in the House, and if
Okay.
I get nominated for Speaker of the House, and then of course then you have a guy like me doing the job, and I'll be absolutely loyal to the Constitution, never stab anybody in the back. That's
Well,
how I.
God bless you, my friend, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, you got it. Thank you, Stan. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.